Rock City 101.9 FM is Untold.
The time is 5 o'clock. Here is the world news at 5. First, the top stories. The UK says Ogun hosts 75% of its foreign direct investment in Nigeria. Senate approves electronic voting for the conduct of future polls. House of Reps Speaker calls for the massive pressure to actualize council's autonomy. NNPC alert motorists of bad petrol in circulation. In foreign, EU to roll out guideline to negotiate exit by Britain, and Islamic militants blow themselves up, killing several people in Bangladesh. Good evening, I am Simiat Abaru, bring you the news in detail shortly. Now the news in detail. United Kingdom says that 75% of its foreign direct investment in Nigeria are in Ogun State. Deputy British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Laura Bowfius, made this known while leading a dedication of the Department for International Development (DFID) on a courtesy visit to Governor Ibikunle Amosun at the Governor's Office Okimoso in Abeokuta. Bowfius says that her country intends to assist the state in growing its agro-allied sector because of the growing foreign investment in the state. The UK diplomat explains that DFID delegation is in a state to know what the Amosu administration had done to attract much foreign investment and to further assist the state. Responding, Governor Amosun urged DFID to assist the state in diversifying its economy, promising that his administration will always interface with development partners and agencies that have the potential capacity to impact positively on the state. Ogun State government shopping malls in Abeokuta, the state capital, have been commissioned with 1,500 shops in the complex allocated to traders. The shopping malls were located at Shapon, Omida, and Itoku Market, as well as Isalebin and Ladiri. Most of the traders who benefited from the allocation were those whose shops and stores were demolished for the construction of the malls and the new expressway passing through the area. Governor Ibikunle Amosun, who allocated the shops after commissioning the mall, says the construction of another shopping mall will begin in April at Itoku Market. The governor also promises that similar shopping malls will be constructed at Adato and Lafewa in Abeokuta, as well as Ifo and other major towns in the state to discourage selling of goods by the roadside. Amosun explains that the ownership of the shops and the mall will be transferred to allottees after completing payment for the total cost of the shops. The Olowu of Owu Oba Adeboyega Dosumur urges traders allotted shops in the malls to put them in good condition. Electronic voting has been approved by the Senate for the conduct of future polls in the country. The Senate okayed the electronic voting while passing amendments to the Electoral Act 2010. The approved amendment also made provisions for the transmission of polls results electronically to the result collation centers of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Other major highlights of the amended Electoral Act are the use of card reader for the conduct of polls and INEC being empowered to modify the voting process to cope with unexpected challenges. Also, where a candidate dies before the declaration of polls results, the polls results that will eventually be released remains valid and will be credited to the party whose candidate dies. The amended act also allows political parties to adopt either direct or indirect primaries to pick their candidate for polls. State capital and end on April 9th. The convention, whose theme is Doing Wonders, the God Factor, will hold daily between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the church premises opposite OGTV, Ajebo Road, Abeokuta. A release by VLBC General Overseer Apostle Lawrence Achudeme says the Power Packed program will feature Bishop Mike Okonkwo, Dr. Felix Omodube, Dr. Kunle Adeshina, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, Bishop Jide Orire, Tom Sampson, Jerome Obode, and other anointed men of God. Apostle Chudume says that every morning the program will feature business practicals and business seminars by Gideon Ikide and others. The week-long event will end on Sunday, April 9, with a special anniversary lecture to be delivered by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The theme of the lecture is the role of church in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Members of the public are invited to the convention, and those seeking further inquiries about the program are asked to call Kingsley on 0803 343 2543 or Glory on 0909 724 4819. Also, the Ogun Province, one of the Redeemed Christian Church of God (RCCG) will hold its quarterly program tagged Cross Overnight today, March 31, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The program, whose theme is Upon Mount Zion, will take place at the RCCG Celebration House located behind Suarez Patrol Station at Adigbe, Abeokuta. The program convener, Pastor A.M. Adurodola, says the program will begin at 9 p.m. and last till dawn. Ministering at the program is the pastor in charge of RCCG Region 12, Pastor Julius Olalekon. Inviting general public to the program, the RCCG Ogun Province 1 says bus will be made available at Kwansheke Junction, Abeokuta, to convey people to the venue of the church. Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara has called for massive pressure on the state governors and members of the state houses of assembly to actualize the proposed financial and administrative autonomy for the country's 774 local governments. Making the call while receiving members of the Nigerian Good Governance Group in his office, the Speaker says it will take intense pressure to ensure that local government autonomy approved by the National Assembly in the ongoing constitutional amendment materializes. Dogara recalls that during the last constitutional amendment exercise, most of the state House of Assemblies voted against the local government autonomy, thereby frustrating the autonomy approved by the 8th National Assembly. He warns that beneficiaries of the present arrangement, including the state governors, will mobilize the state assemblies to prevent the two-thirds votes required to actualize the proposed autonomy for councils. 282 people have died so far, killed by meningitis since its outbreak last month. Zamfara State tops the list of 15 states with 44 dead, followed by Katsina 32, Sokoto 19, Kebbi 10, and 4 in Niger State. Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekiazu, who made this known, says 1,966 suspected cases were recorded, 109 of them confirmed. A response team, according to him, had been sent to the affected state to vaccinate people and stop its spread to other states. You are still listening to the World News at 5 on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sport news. Please stay with us. And Council President Donald Tusk is due to issue draft guidelines on how the EU intends to negotiate the UK's departure from the bloc. The proposals will be sent to the government of 27 EU members to help set the tone for 2 years of tough negotiations and effort to finalize a deal. EU leaders say the UK must first agree its exit terms before talks can move on to future ties. London is calling for simultaneous talks, and British Prime Minister Theresa May formally triggered the Brexit process on Wednesday by sending the Article 15 notification to Mr. Tusk. The European Council had intended to publish the guidelines on its website straight away, but 2 EU member states objected. Ousted South Korean President Park Geun-hye has been arrested and taken into custody over a corruption scandal that led to her dismissal. The 65-year-old was driven to a detention center south of Seoul after a court approved her arrest. She is accused of allowing her close friend Choi Sun-sil to extort money from companies including Samsung in return for political favors. Ms. Park can be held for up to 20 days before being formally charged. If convicted, she could face more than 10 years in prison. Up to 8 people, including a child, were killed when suspected Islamic militants blew themselves up after being surrounded in a hideout in northeastern Bangladesh. Police described the horrific scene at the end of the two-day standoff of Movid Bazar near Siret as the militant detonated a grenade after failing to escape and to avoid being captured. On Saturday, 6 people, 2 police officers and 4 civilians, were killed in twin bombings ensued when commandos flushed out another group of suspected Islamist militants. So-called Islamic State IS called on messaging application Telegram that it was behind one of the blasts. Bangladesh police maintain that an offshoot of the banned Islamist outfit Jamiatul Mujahideen Bangladesh (JMB) is responsible for many of these attacks, despite claims to the contrary by IS and Al Qaeda. In business, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has alerted motorists that adulterated petroleum products are in circulation nationwide. The corporation, in a statement by its spokesman Ndu Ngamadu, urged motorists to be mindful of the quality of products they are buying. The adulterated products, according to NNPC, could cause explosion, knock down vehicles' engines and equipment, or cause incidents that could lead to injuries or deaths. When in doubt of the quality of product, NNPC asks motorists to visit its offices, depots, or the offices of the Department of Petroleum Resources for clarification. The agency says it suspects that the products are being sourced from vandalized pipelines or deliberately adulterated. Finally, sport news. FIFA is proposing that Africa gets 9 automatic places when the World Cup expands to 48 teams in 2026. That would be an increase from the tally of 5 places that the continent currently holds. A 10th African country will take part in a sixth nation playoff tournament to decide the last two spots. Football's world governing body has revealed its plan for how all 48 places will be allocated, with 16 European teams set to qualify. Recommendations will be voted on by the FIFA Council at its next meeting on 9th of May. That was the world news at 5, and just before we go, the major stories once again. The UK said Ogun hosts 75% of its foreign direct investment in Nigeria. Senate approved electronic voting for the conduct of future polls. House of Representatives Speaker called for massive pressure to actualize council's autonomy. NNPC alerted motorists of bad petrol in circulation. In foreign, we reported that EU to roll out guidelines to negotiate exit by Britain, and Islamic militants blew themselves up, killing several people in Bangladesh. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you for listening. I am Simiat Abaru. Good evening.